I am present. Spread out. Make it look like there's more.
Hello and welcome. We'll just Photoshop more people in.
Oh, there you go. Welcome
to the annual meeting for FamiLAB 2023.
Yay!
We have survived another year. Thank you to everyone that is here in person and joining virtually. Camera's back there. If you want to wave hi, please do not block it completely. That camera was for if that camera didn't want to cooperate fully. So we're going to go through a bit of history. Do you have a question?
No, I was waiting.
Oh, going to go through a bit of history of FamiLAB as an organization. We're going to review the last year in financials and other details. And then we are going to have board elections, but we only have one board nominee. So we're going to have...
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
board.
But instead of our usual vote for me spiel, we have board nominees go for. I'm going to have Matt come up and speak briefly about himself and his history with FamiLAB. So that's the title slide. Introductions to the current board of directors. Me, of course, Lilith. I'm the current president. At FamiLAB, I mostly do metalworking, be it welding or machining. Outside of BattleBots, I am a professional bookkeeper, accounting professional, and I have been on BattleBots. I did one cool thing 3 years ago, and I've been tired ever since. Click. Daniel Burrows, our treasurer.
Hey, I'm Dan. I've been here a long time. Other than that, I don't really know what else to say. Yeah. No, I'm actually one of the founding members of FamiLAB, and I've been recently active for a while. There was a period of time I wasn't so active for there, but then I came back and yay, it's all good. I don't really know what else to say.
Roger Flug.
Newest, no, not newest member of the board. Second newest.
Those that don't know Roger, he's the one that's here. He makes knives and other cool, sharp things. Blackheart, who is with us virtually. You want to introduce yourself, Blackheart?
Hello.
Hello.
I started doing cool things 3 years ago and got tired ever since. Yeah, I've been with the lab over half a decade now. God, before the pit end times, and then, yeah, I'm here.
And Brian Zolman, no image found.
Yeah, hi, I'm here. I think I'm on camera now, but I don't know if the camera's working. I
think we paused it.
Yeah, I mostly talk about the things that I want to work on instead of actually working on anything. So,
Which is half as good as working on things.
yeah.
So that's the board. Currently, there are 5 directors of the board, which normally we're supposed to have 7. But since things have been slow in the last year or so, we have been light. Someone is messaging on chat.
Yep.
Too real.
Non-IT guy said hi.
So those that don't know what FamiLAB is a community that fosters learning and creativity through hands-on projects, collaboration, and the sharing of skills and tools to improve ourselves and the world around us. Essentially, what that means is FamiLAB is here to allow its members to build cool stuff and teach each other how to build that cool stuff as well. So we encourage learning, teaching. If you have a skill, share a skill. And that is our mission statement. And the key word there is community, which is why we try to harp on community so much, because otherwise we're just a bunch of people with the same shop. History lesson. So FamiLAB 1.0, it started in the South Seminole Business Center. It was 800 square feet. This is ages ago. And there's a few pictures here of old members. Despite popular belief, that is not Blackheart in that picture.
That's Dan.
Dan before his hair went gray. I was not around in this time.
I actually don't know who that is. I only know one of the people
It started out as just a bunch of like-minded people that wanted to have the same space to work together on things. And the name 4 a.m. iLab came about because it always seemed like everyone was there at 4 a.m. or you would be there till 4 a.m. without realizing it. And this is what the website looked like back then, very mid 2000, or I guess 2010s. Yeah, first post on our website was January 2nd, 2010. FamiLAB 2.0, 2010 to 2012, we moved from that storage unit to the South Seminole Business Center. We went down in square feet to 400.
It's technically from the storage unit to like the storage unit next to it.
From storage unit to storage unit. And it's kind of the old scrappy days.
Yeah, this is when we realized that we had to have money to pay for 800 square foot.
Yep, it takes money to run an organization, apparently. You can see the super safe flip-flops in a warehouse.
I mean, that's better than barefoot.
Yeah, better than barefoot.
So it's changed how?
I think you can still see that couch in the current FamiLAB.
It's not letting me go back.
Oh, that's okay.
And this is also when we got our 501c3 status. We officially registered ourselves as a nonprofit in the eyes of the Lord and the IRS, which was really awesome. Being a nonprofit charity has let us get a lot of cool stuff occasionally. And, we're tax exempt. Any donations made to us can be tax deductible. Hint, cough, hint.
Check with your accountant.
Yeah, check with your accountant. And then we moved from that storage unit to the current building we're in, Longwood Development Center. However, it was about 4 spaces down the way. And we went all the way from 400 square feet to 4,000. So it was a very big improvement in space that we had to do cool stuff. What else to say about that?
That's why it was called the 10X.
Yeah, 10 times. We went up 10 times in size, and that was around 2013. This is around when I joined. And that let our members do awesome stuff, like the big mural on the wall that I don't think is still there.
No, we painted over before we left.
And then where we are now, FamiLAB 4.0, which is a 1.5 times gain. And those that do not know, we built this entire space, this inside space of FamiLAB. Members designed it, built it, did a vast majority of the work. And here you can see the design drawings from that time, from the design. So we have the BioLab. Oh no, it's hover zooming. We have the BioLab and the dark room. The fridge was supposed to be over there. All that was here in this space was the bathroom and that wall.
Part of it.
Yep. So FamiLAB members got together and put this space together, built it, designed it. We even got it signed by actual engineers.
Yes, it was inspected by the county and everything.
So it's really us becoming a real formal and important organization. Like we're big kids now.
We even have an ADA restroom.
We even have an ADA restroom.
If anyone throws us out, they're gonna have to tear all this stuff down, and that's just annoying for them.
So here, hover zoom is annoying in presentations. Here are some images of the build out. So huge thank you to Dave Woods, our landlord at the time, who owned the building at the time. He helped us a lot, both in physical work and in helping us to afford the build out. And you can see how it started as just the bathroom and a wall, and we did some demo, did our own construction. It was a real fun time, and I was not here for it. I'm sorry. And here's a thank you to everyone that's involved with the build out process. These are all people that helped out during that time in making FamiLAB what it is today. Then briefly after we made FamiLAB build out, we got some new machines to us. They were free from the Sebring Airport, just pay shipping. So that's that's the machines that are currently in the metal shop. That was an awesome upgrade,
Except for the shoe press.
except for the shoe press that we threw out the door at one point.
We didn't throw it.
FamiLAB build out also allowed us to have the DIY BioLab. So it allows awesome projects involving growing our own fungus and genetically modifying our fungus and trying to
butts.
giant butts, trying to bring The Last of Us to fruition.
And John was breeding orchids.
Was
Breeding, yeah, he
Yeah.
was, yep. He was breeding and selectively choosing orchids that would survive.
At one point, we were also working on getting a scanning electron microscope. That project has sadly fizzled out. We still have some of the parts. And Maker Faire. We're not as involved now, sadly, as we used to be, but every year in Orlando is Maker Faire Orlando. It's an awesome coming together of all kinds of DIY crafters, makers. We have Power Wheels Racing, where you make you custom make a go-kart that looks like a Power Wheels. And makers from all over Central Florida, wherever they want to come from, are able to show off what they make. And it's an amazing time. If you have not been, I highly recommend you go. 2019, we saw some improvements to the space. What the big improvement was, we were able to get some free pallet racking, which really let us build up instead of building out, which let us reclaim a lot more floor space. So we were able to go get that pallet racking, get it in here. Some of it we had to modify for our use because it was free, not necessarily new. So that was an awesome time. And FamiLAB 2020, COVID-19. I forgot I did that.
Everybody forgets that time.
Yep, so 2020 hit. Obviously, the entire world imploded under itself. But FamiLAB was able to help out in the Central Florida area and in the response to COVID, together with Maker Effects Foundation and other Central Florida maker groups. We were able to help make and distribute a whole bunch of face shields and masks. I think we have the numbers there. Nope, it goes straight to 2021.
Somewhere around 6,000.
Yeah, somewhere around 6,000 or so. But unfortunately, FamiLAB nothing really happened that year, as nothing really happened in the world. FamiLAB 2021, obviously we're still dealing with a bit of COVID, and we're trying to slowly get back to where we were. So some folks were able to be in here during 2021 building stuff. Here's an example of a few of the projects. We have the awesome spinograph, whatever it's called, from Glinsky. That's really awesome, and he does a lot of awesome artwork here, and some of Roger's knives. And 2022, this last year, did we actually put any pictures here? No, we did not.
It was kind of a year where a lot of people said, we'll do something later. And as you can see with the slide, how well that worked out.
Yeah, it's something that we want to push moving forward, is getting back to sharing what we're making, what we're doing, and we're trying to rebuild the community, especially post-COVID, because 2020 happened and everyone stayed at home, obviously, to be safe, and all of us built at-home things to do, be it baking or getting tools at home to make stuff there, and everyone found things that they could do by themselves, with themselves, or with a small, close group of friends, and people have gotten used to that. And our goal is to get more people in the doors and help the community rebuild. Anyhow, now that the history lesson is done, it's time for fun with numbers. I did not update this stuff either. Crap. I was very busy this week. So every year, this is a little out of date, but every year we try to pull numbers for our various things, like our Slack channels. and our user lists. So this is last year. You can see like our top channel last year was gaming, computer hardware, general, and our top posters from all time are still Nick and Katie because they talk a lot. Amazon Smile has sadly closed, which is unfortunate. It was a program Amazon had where a small percentage of your purchase went to a 501c3 charity of your choice, on which we were. So over the lifetime of Amazon Smile, we got probably $6,600, which is great because it's free, very low effort money. Humble Bundle. If you are a gamer and you like to do the Humble Bundle, we are listed as a charity on there. And
It also works for the books that they do on there.
it also works for the books.
And it works on everything they sell,
Everything they sell.
except Nintendo games.
Except Nintendo games. And in general, if there is a program out there that you think that we should get into, if there is a kind of grant giving program, please let us know. We are always looking for more avenues for revenue. And if we are a 501c3, so we can be eligible for those, like PayPal Giving Fund we're eligible for, Humble Bundle, like we said, and we can never keep up with how many there are out there by ourselves. Now time for monies. Dan's turn. Now you can have that. Like, if you need me to move it, just let me know.
Okay.
Oh, I can't move while you're moving.
No, you can't. This is my favorite slide of all the accounting. It explains both how I understand accounting to work, and it's my favorite scene from the Star Trek animated series where Spock summoned the devil and had to appear with him. But the original animated series.
Also, it's true as a professional accounting person.
So, and I will point out that in Star Trek V, they were supposedly lured to the center of the galaxy by God, and then found out it wasn't really God. So in Star Trek, God does not exist, but the devil's right there. Anyway, so our income from last year, that big giant blue Pac-Man is all of you guys paying your membership. The remainder of it are other donations we got and the Amazon Smile income. So as everybody here knows, we are a organization that is driven by the membership. In some past years, we've had nothing very significant. The membership dues are always the core to our money. We've had a bit more from classes that we've run and some other outreach things that we've done in the past. That's been difficult over the past years, but we hope to get back into some of that, particularly in the classes. In our expenses, the not quite as big blue Pac-Man in this graph is our lease. Obviously, paying for the space is the biggest expense we have. The utilities, the electricity, and is the biggest part of the utilities. Internet, probably the second largest. Anybody who is paying attention may have noticed that on the previous slide, the big number of the total was a bit smaller than the big number on this slide, which isn't a great thing because we've been spending a bit more than what we've brought in over the last year. Fortunately, we've had a buffer that we had built up to help cover that, but it points to one of the important things for the lab's future is we need to build up the membership so we can increase those income numbers, because these expense numbers probably aren't going to go down a whole heck of a lot.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, this didn't really have a great title on it, but this is actually just showing where the utilities expenses go out. Electricity is the biggest one. In the past, we kind of harped on this one a bit just because we were using it to try to encourage people to cut down on electricity usage where possible. That mainly is the AC, some other things. We've actually done a pretty good job of cutting that down. I don't think we're gonna. I don't think we're gonna get much more gains out of this at this point. Membership, we're down a little bit over the past couple years, but not very much. We're sat at right at about, I think it's 110 members total. We need it to go up, certainly. But we did quite well throughout COVID compared to how like a lot of businesses and organizations did. So we managed to still be here. It's pretty much a big accomplishment.
We're down, what, maybe 10% from our pre-COVID peak?
Yeah, that's about where we are. You know, which is great. You know, I think, you know, the unfortunate side of it is we probably would have been up 10% if it hadn't been for COVID over those years, and that's where we need to get towards. This graph used to serve another bit of a different purpose. But when Lily was talking about the Dave Woods, the fellow who used to own this whole building complex here, he gave us a really great deal on our rent when we first moved in here. He's what let us move up to the 4,000 square foot space and then later on to this 6,000 square foot space. Initially, he basically charged us a rent that was at most it would be half of our membership dues. So half of whatever we brought in that month, we had to, that's what we paid in rent until we met the actual rent. And his actual rent was below market for us. And then he helped us basically spread out the cost of the build out over a number of years. That's the red section on here is us. That's how we paid back the build out. And then you can see after that, the rent dropped back down. Our rent varies with economic factors such as unemployment and other just standard economic factors. As you can see in the past couple quarters here, it started to go back up, and it's going to continue to go up a bit now. That big dip in 2021 was basically because of all the mess of 2020, what it did to the economy. We were, you know, fortunately it helped us, and that helped us build up a bit of a buffer that we're having to pull into now. Yeah, just more cats. The one on the right is one of my cats. So I started throwing mine in here because.
Was that also your rug?
That was my rug. Like that cat, he really liked to find the center medallion of the rug and thought that was very important for some reason.
The rug really helped tie that room together.
Yes. So this is the breakdown of where all of our recurring expenses go. You know, again, this is broken down on a bit more detail on more of a monthly basis. But again, the big blue chunk is the rent. The orange is our power bill. And then it goes down from there into the rest of the monthly expenses. A lot of them get to be pretty minor pretty quick after you get through the power every month. The one on the right again, is another one of my cats. So out of the $50 standard membership dues, about $31.25 of that every month goes towards paying the rent, and about $12.55 goes towards paying for the utilities. So, you know, in case anybody's wondering what we're actually doing with it, we're using it to pay for everything you see around you, and there's not much more left over by the time we get done with that. 2022, it was an okay / slightly rough year. I think it kind of, I'm hoping at least that the sort of even though we're kind of coming out of the pandemic, the impact of it has kind of a bit of a lag in what's been going on. And I think we actually, in some ways, have felt that a bit more in 2022 than we even did back in the 2020 to 2021. Our membership is still suffering. We've been, when I say suffering, we haven't lost much because of it, but we haven't gained over this time period. And in general, at one point, FamiLAB used to have a lot more, I guess I'd say, like, there's much more of a social aspect where people were here more, hanging out, just chatting, not just coming in here to do things. And it's great to come here, do things, work on whatever you're making, do all of that. That's what we want people doing. But when there's people hanging out here and just chatting with each other, you find out what other people are doing, get more ideas, you get more excited and more interest, and that really helped drive a lot of the membership. And we haven't been able to have that for a while. I think it's one of the key things that's been impacting us that we need to address and work on.
So the community.
The community, yes. Our rent is increasing. There's two aspects of this. One is just because of economic factors, the rent is increasing. The other is that, unfortunately, Dave Woods sold this building some time ago. Now we have a lease that runs through 2025 that we're guaranteed to keep the rent the same way we're paying it now. After that, there may be significant increases in rent because, like I say, he gave us a deal where we're paying below market rates. The new company that owns it is probably not going to have the same approach that he did, but we're talking with them and seeing where that's going to go. We've managed to cut our expenses a decent amount, but moving forward, we need to focus on increasing membership to keep the books looking good.
Those expenses keep going up. I'm
Yes.
sure you've all noticed in your personal lives.
Yes. So does anybody have any questions about this? Oh, a couple, yes.
Are there any other opportunities for fundraisers? Like maybe like when you do have a LAN party here, have a suggested donation thing?
Sure, if you want to run an event, feel free to
Yeah.
state that when you create the event.
It's kind of so we're kind of in a catch-22 right now where we need more people to do more stuff, but it's kind of like a self-feeding snake. Yes, an Ouroboros, and we are looking at other avenues for fundraising.
But in general, yes. I mean, anything like that is a great idea, and we're completely encouraging of people to do that. And this is, one of the things, with FamiLAB is, I mean, we're on, I'm on the board, Lily's on the board, but this isn't run by the board. We just kind of make sure bills get paid and things like that, some menial stuff. As far as for ideas and things to do and things to run, we need everybody to be participating in that. So absolutely, I appreciate the idea. And anything you or anybody else can help us to implement some of the great ideas people have is super, super needed and welcome.
And any member, sorry, I'm sorry, you have to.
Well, I guess I have a question. I want to say in the past, there was some question over who owned the FamiLAB Twitch account. If I'm remembering it right. Do we have a Twitch account that we control? Is that something we've considered or that we could consider as a 501c?
I believe we do have the credentials for the Twitch account. I would have to double check. And to Dan's point of what the board does versus what membership does, we try and strive as best we can to be as hands off on the overall operations of FamiLAB, because FamiLAB is run by the members for the members. So we're not here to decree from on high what y'all do. We're just here to make sure that the lights are on, the door is open, and it continues to be so.
Yeah.
Like if we get involved, it's a very last resort.
Yeah. Like in your LAN party example, if you'd like to run a LAN party, let us know when you'd like it put on the calendar, and if you want a little text blurb, and we'll have it show up there.
I just thought that was a potential. I can't actually run one because my computer's too heavy to bring to a
Right.
party.
Yeah.
And we're always open for donations, and it is a good point. Maybe at the events we should be more forthright with that. We do have a donations box up front as you walk in, but it's one of those things where in order to do that, we will need more events to happen. And in order to have more events happen, we will need more people involved in FamiLAB. And to get more people involved with FamiLAB, we have to have more events to happen.
But right. But I think it's getting the events, getting people that are willing to help get stuff going is kind of what we need, and then figuring out how to best capitalize upon that.
And events also drive membership.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
I was just wondering, do you have any metrics on how many of the members actually come here in a given month? whatever, and how much time they spend?
We can figure that out. It's a very manual process right now. As part of, like, it'll be a bit easier, I think. No, because our door code is self-made.
It
So
was
we,
also designed that way to not track when people come and go.
yeah, historically we've been kind of more free flowing, not because we don't want people to be stalking each other, and we kind of, we as an organization don't want to monitor or dictate when people are or not here.
Now, we do encourage that when you run a class or an event or something, you have people sign in. That way we can get an idea of how many people showed up. Which reminds me, we should probably pass around the tablet and have people sign in for this. That way we can get an official-ish count.
It's true.
I guess, even anecdotally, you have a feeling for, you've got, what, 100-something members. How many of those members actually come during the given week or month? How many of these people are paying fees actually make use of the facility?
10%.
Yeah, it's a very small number.
Do we have any, or can we create any motivation for those who don't come here to keep donating?
Not reminding them.
Don't remind them to pay.
You know, whatever.
There-
You know,
Yeah.
A lot of the folks do keep paying, and we're very gracious to that. Yeah, I'd have to think about, because I'm here a lot, and I can think it's maybe under a dozen and a half, maybe even under a dozen of the regular people I see on a regular basis.
And to your point, we didn't, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't actually really lose that many members like during COVID.
Right,
Like,
right.
a very, very small number. In fact, most people just kept paying and just didn't show up.
And that's
The challenges we have is members begat more members.
Why is our call ending?
They probably
Oh,
implemented
we're
time
in the
limits.
1 hour limit.
I completely screwed pooch on making this event, didn't I?
So let's pick it up. 'Cause
So
we've got 10
we'll
minutes.
look at the discussion later.
So in 10 minutes, we'll take a break.
Yeah.
We'll recreate the room. I apologize to everyone that is in the room. Because I don't want to kill the conversation. I want to keep going. And to Mike's point, we haven't really lost many members, but we haven't gained members. We've kind of stayed stagnant since 2020, which was great during COVID, but we really need to gain memberships now, because if our income stays flat, our expenses have been going up. That's bad math.
And just something I'd like to add to your point about, or your question about trying to encourage people that are basically just donating to us to keep doing so. Two things I would say about that is one, the reason that a lot of people do that, it's not because I don't think we've got a whole lot of people who were never here and just decided to start paying money. It was someone that came out here, saw the place, joined up, did some stuff, and then they got sidetracked with other things in their life. Some of them moved away, moved out of state, but they loved what they had seen here. They loved the idea of FamiLAB, and they didn't want to see it go away.
The culture.
The culture.
Yeah.
So on one hand, I would say it just means that you've got to keep getting new people coming out here, even if they don't necessarily physically hang on, indefinitely or show up every month or week or whatever. Some of them are going to keep giving us money to keep it going. And the other thing is I think as long as FamiLAB, I think it's important that FamiLAB look alive and vibrant and like there's stuff going on, not just encourage new people, but to make the people that are there that are just supporting us because they want to see us do well, to
switch
let
to
them
this
know
one for now.
we're here, we're
Oh,
doing
it's
well,
acting
and the thing's still going on, and it's still worth you giving money to it. Yeah.
We're coming out of a static model,
Yeah.
and what you need to do is transition to a dynamic model to grow the membership so that the folks you're going to lose up through attrition are being replaced with more members that are more interested in actually participating.
Yeah.
Because eventually you're going to lose that static model if you're not doing that.
Right. So I think I think a lot of this keeps coming back around to this thing about, the people that we have that are here at any given time. We want to make it as vibrant and interesting as possible. I think that just feeds back into all of these different issues.
Yes, thank you.
Sure, sure. No, thank you.
Do you want to take a 5 minute and then we'll come back and continue?
Yep, we're gonna take a 5 minute. We'll do post in announcements with the new room number, just to take a breather after that, and then we'll be back and we'll continue the meeting.
I turned 60 and I can't quite remember my name anymore sometimes.
Sorry about it.
Sometimes zone, you've got, people that take over and volunteer for each branch.
You should be.
I know,
You are now.
myself, I'm caveated, I'm part-time person here at once.
Yeah,
So that is the difficult thing for me to run when I'm not.
I should ask you about it, but what kind of social media presence do we have?
I'm sure.
Not enough.
These are
I'm
all
guessing
tropes.
we have like a
Tropes I'm
YouTube
just rolling
channel
back
at some
out.
point.
We have a
Because
YouTube
they're not
channel, we
being
have a
spoken to.
Facebook, we have a Twitter.
Instagram.
You know,
I'm kind of like,
participating in
I'm
several
doing
different
other
spaces.
things myself where I'm
My
trying to like
perspectives are slightly
expand my
folks that are homegrown here.
sphere of influence through social
Don't
media.
recall off the top of my head, but we're always happy to help facilitate that. Facebook is real easy because we can invite anyone as a editor on the page.
I guess the thought in my head was like, if it could be a good platform to show off, these are things that are made here. And you get like photos, videos that can all sit there.
Because that's one of the best ways to bring in new members is show what can be made here. And people are like, that's awesome. I would love to be able to work on that. Awesome. We have the tools available. We have members who are willing to share knowledge.
Yeah, like I said, I just recently discovered that Instagram is actually a thing. So it occurs to me that that's a thing that could be used here if it's, if people are producing stuff that it's worth showing off.
Yep. And one of the things I've been focusing on the last year in keeping running are what I call low floor things like 3D printers, easily accessible. Most woodworking tools easily accessible. The stuff that pretty much anybody could do with a little guidance, that's the stuff that we should focus on.
Right.
Yes, we have more advanced stuff, but having things that are very approachable, that's why we've got Ender 3s, because they're an approachable 3D printer.
You want people to see things that say, that's cool, I can do that.
Yeah.
You don't want them to feel like, that's cool, I need a degree before I do that.
Yes, empower them. Because it's great to have really awesome custom-made 3D printer 9000, but there's not a whole lot of tutorials for custom-made 3D printer 9000. And it's not something anybody that people can Google on how to fix. Because I don't know how to fix 3D printers, but I know enough to be able to Google stuff for these ones. It's kind of been eye-opening how both janky and complex 3D printers can be. That's our focus is empowering y'all, empowering the membership to be able to do things.
I gotta ask you, the largest 3D printer looks like it's not working.
It is not. Something happened and I have ordered the part. It will be here next week. I just today was able to tear it apart, and I can show you. So what had happened is it had gotten overheated.
Oh, that sucks.
And when that happened, filament was able to ooze out of the back of the nozzle, and it just overheated everything and died.
Oh, that's
I think because this jumble of wires is the temperature sensor, and that failed.
okay.
Luckily, $10 part.
Okay.
Pain in the ass to get to, but $10 part.
No, not for this one. The big one.
Yeah, it's for the big one.
Okay.
This is the whole head for it.
Oh, okay. It's great that you're able to fix that stuff, even though you're not a specialist.
They luckily made the printer straightforward enough that I can figure it out.
Okay.
The biggest problem was that because it had overheated and filled itself with filament, I had to crack plastic to get it out. And it's a very compact design. Even if it had failed completely, fortunately, that's only $100-something part. Still expensive, but
downside.
Cheaper than a whole new printer.
Yes, especially one of that size,
Yes.
because that's a very nice
Would
printer.
you say that's big enough for a helmet?
If your helmet is smaller than 350 millimeters by 350 millimeters,
I'll look into it.
a lot of times what cosplayers do is they print in segments, and they'll either design in keying elements that key into each other, or they'll very carefully glue it together.
Okay. Well, that's, I was thinking if I couldn't print it in one thing, I'd just print a few parts and glue them together.
Absolutely.
Probably key it just to give it strength.
Yeah, and you can just like design in a whole element that you put a little bit of metal rod in, and then snap them all together. It also gives that spot some strength because the metal is taking all of the bending.
Okay.
Brian actually might be good to talk to about that because he did.
told me to ask on Slack.
Yeah,
I
and
think he's trying to get people to play on Slack. a little
that
more.
too, or not confident in his knowledge on it. That's my strength is even if I'm not confident in my knowledge, I'm confident in my other knowledge.
Nobody knows everything.
Nobody does.
You can have it back when you use it.
So,
I like that.
Yeah, me too.
Lindsay was pointing out that our new pad break.
that is randomly generated.
Having it held out and then there'll be more exits. So most of the race car drivers are like that. They have two ice boxes. A box sitting next to them.
We'll start there.
I'm trying to have
We don't have
around
that much
the
left.
system,
It wouldn't be FamiLAB if it all went smoothly.
Yeah, if it all went smoothly, it wouldn't be us. If you want shit to go smoothly, you can go to What's up?
I didn't hear exactly what you said a moment ago. I'm thinking I need to ask.
If you want things to go completely smooth, go to Maker Effects. They know what they're doing. We know what we're doing
Speaking
well
of
enough.
Being like things that we might get money from or
Mm.
that are free. Microsoft was offering for a while free server space to nonprofits.
There's
With the Azure thing.
Yeah.
We're on
Amazon
AWS
now.
now.
I don't recall. I think we get. I don't recall if ours is free or we just pay these days.
Our Amazon, we get credits through one of the two programs.
Yeah.
And I think we have to pay, there's a fee that we pay, but it is tiny.
It's not really a money.
Yeah, it's very tiny. I think less than that.
Yeah, you can get Azure credits through it as well.
But it's not bad.
But I don't know if Microsoft.
I got it down on the because it makes the same form factor as this all match. So that the fans don't have.
I'm gonna
to
use my run. I didn't even run.
They can just breathe through the mesh. And I have external plugins so that I can drain the system. They're all on quick disconnect, so we can make the system without going through all fun stuff like I was doing before when I was with the program. So it's moved along. And like I said, I've used it a couple of times. My stress test is picking it universal and trying to use it. I can use it in the grounds, and use it in the heat, and not die.
Get it through security.
They don't care. Oh, they really don't. They look for very specific things.
Reminds me a little bit of
Which is mostly
Spaceballs.
weapon-based. I'm going through his cosplay, they know me. So they don't even. I used to work there. They don't look at me. Yeah. Did you work there? No. Never worked there. But, all the management does.
Look, Lindsay is doing
got
her
proclamations from them.
animal.
Alright.
I know what you were about to say.
Never fear, I am sure. Who that?
I
hear your omission.
Roger, anyway.
There was only 3.
Lindsay's showing us her chat.
Yeah, it's basically a cosplay. So
Or muted.
I know all the members.
Yeah.
Oh,
I frequent them every day.
Were you?
I go.
are we muted?
No, not us. Lindsay's
Oh,
muted.
Lindsay's muted.
And they all follow me around. I know, there's one of the,
Don't worry me. Oh.
you know, one of the, team leaders who's been there a while. I opened up my locker and I just
Is that back in the meeting?
Yes, that's the new meeting.
I didn't know that. And I started.
Beautiful.
Started lining up my locker, and I've got.
Oh, it's right there.
So those things, I think I've.
Good, I didn't leave any porn open. Blom. Oh, this presenting.
And it's back to slide 1.
Nope.
Can you show us your session key?
My session key? It's have Breck a randomly generated Google Meet.
That are out there. So right now I'm working on Howard, right? So
Raymond,
yes, sir.
ready?
Yes.
All right.
Oh, I didn't ask you if you were ready yet.
Oh, did you ask?
He did.
I wasn't listening.
Are you ready?
Am I ready? Never. I'm never ready.
He's it.
It's my secret. All right. Just a few more items to go before we can adjourn this meeting. We're going to talk briefly about the board of directors, and then we'll have Luby come up here and give his presentation.
Reintroduction.
Yeah, reintroduction. So, board of directors, what is it we do? We do paperwork because we are a business. We keep the doors open, pay the bills, legal stuff, taxes, filings, signatories, plan for the future, and we try to relay those plans to the membership. Manage memberships, access to the space. The important thing is manage the public image of the lab. As we are a business, we do have that to be mindful of. And keep the doors open, paying the bills. Largely, and I mentioned this briefly, I forget if it was on the meeting or not, the board of directors is trying to be as hands-off as possible because we're not who FamiLAB is here for. We're not here to have FamiLAB for ourselves. We're here to have FamiLAB for y'all. FamiLAB is run by the membership, for the membership, and the membership is who should guide the overarching goal for the lab.
And the board just signs the check to turn on the lights.
Yeah, we just need to make sure the lights are on, and we need to relay to the membership, hey, here's what we need to, like, we need more money from memberships.
And do stuff like coordinate laser tube fixes.
Yep, but by and large, the board doesn't do much more than any member can do. Any member can help us raise funds. Any member can help fix stuff. Any member can run a class. Any member can have a party at the space. Unless it involves a signature for something, we don't need to get involved. Flash Gordon is joining the meeting, and he was allowed in by someone else. How to contact the board.
Someone else did it.
The easiest way to contact the board of directors is by email at board@familab.org. That goes to every member of the board, not just a specific one. We also have an anonymous reporting form that is at l.familab.org/issues. That is an L, not an I. It stands for link.familab.org. Anything treasury related, you should please always email treasurer@familab.org. It should always be an email because the treasurer things are the one thing we really need to get in writing because accounting. You can also contact us on Slack in any channel. If you do @board, it will summon us from the depths. What are you pointing at?
The people that exist.
There is also a who to contact sheet on most of the doors heading anywhere in FamiLAB. It is up to date. Cool.
Not after the meeting.
Not after the meeting. And like I said, ideally, we should not get involved in too much because we want the FamiLAB to run. We want the members to run FamiLAB. Joining the board. Does it sound like something you would like to do? You can always message us. Right now, as we have openings, we are able to, with the bylaws, to appoint the remaining slots. Board is completely volunteer. We do not gain really anything from being on the board. And normally we have board member elections, but this time it is a volunteer, and we are very grateful to have him, Mr. Matt Luby. Yes.
I would just like to say, this is the first time in 3 years we've had somebody volunteer.
Yeah. Like, come to us and volunteer.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we didn't ask
This is
them.
the first time since the before times we haven't drafted something.
That's exactly.
And I do want to emphasize that this was a volunteer situation, not a voluntold situation. So,
There was no duress involved.
none actually.
No, we saved that.
None at all. No, but hi, my name's Matt Luby. A lot of times, if there are a lot of Matts in a space, I will use Luby, but I think for now, Matt will probably work because I don't think we have too many Matts as active members, at least here today. However, I have a background.
More feminine, you'll be the alpha Matt.
Oh, I like that. I'm keeping that. So,
Be Omega Matt.
Mega. We already have an Omega.
that's big fan of Mega Man. But I have been on the board before. I think the last time I was titled secretary, but a lot of it with the board, we all want to make sure everything gets done. So that didn't limit what I did, but kind of specified certain functions. Nonetheless, I will be returning probably to some of those functions, probably to some others that I may not have done in the past, but I am definitely interested in trying to help, in ways that I can as an individual that don't really require me to be a board member in a lot of cases, but having that title makes me feel like I need to do something for it. So it will definitely help motivate me and allow me to be there too. If someone from the board needs to sign off on something or needs to be here at the lab physically for, say, a meeting with the new landlord or something, I do live pretty close, and so I like to try to use that as a benefit to the lab where I can kind of get here quickly, whether from home or from work, so that, if other members of the board or the lab can't make it, I want to be here in any capacity I can. Sometimes I even run here because I enjoy pain, and running is a great way to find that. One thing I wanted to shout out, it's kind of random, is if anyone has played any of the Squaresoft RPGs from back in the day, the SNES Final Fantasy IV game, they made a ROM hack of that, where you can start off with basically access to almost anywhere in the game if you can get the items you need, and the bosses are randomized. It's a really interesting community that has developed over sort of this, enjoyment and appreciation of a game, but they've breathed new life into it by kind of taking the pieces and rearranging them. And so I think it's a testament to how a strong community can really take a set of pieces and build something new again and again out of it. And I'd like to try and bring that energy to FamiLAB. Yes.
Is it American Final Fantasy IV or Japanese Final Fantasy IV?
It is the fourth game in the sequence, so it would be Japanese for.
Okay.
But in this community, there are probably no people who do the speed runs of this who would think of it as Final Fantasy II. At this point, because most of them are legitimately, of course, somehow finding a ROM and then doing a mod on that ROM with a little script. So
You say that like we can't dump ROMs here. We have systems that are modified for that.
as a former and soon future board member, anything you do, I'm sure, is 100% above board, and we love that.
We
about
own the physical copies.
and
We're
that
allowed to
helps
make
as
one
well.
backup.
We own the physical copies.
It's legal to download, but not legal to upload.
I see. Well,
Subject change.
yes.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, the first question. Did anyone else have any questions in person or through the internet? Yes.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
That's
Good to be
not a
back.
question.
Welcome back.
Well done.
Happy that you're well done.
Yes.
What are your plans to do in the biolab space? Since you
So-
say you're into biohacking.
Yes, so we have a biospace that has not had as much use in recent years as it may have in some years in the past. And so I think that is something that not a lot of hackerspaces have. Even places that have a lot of things that, you know, we might, maybe their community is more active today than ours is today. So I think that could be something that is very interesting, and I would want to do a full survey of the equipment we have to have a better sense of, you know, what might be feasible, reasonable to try and accomplish. But I do think, you know, we have some microscopes, we have some other, I think we still have all the iGEM stuff, which I don't know as much about that, but I'm definitely willing to learn if people are interested. Or not, and just facilitate if people are interested. You don't need me. That's the beauty of FamiLAB. We want to help give you opportunities to do cool things, but we don't want to get in your way. So we want to build with you as members, but give you what you need to do to build as boards, if that makes sense. So
We have a bunch of stuff that some crazy guys who went dumpster diving behind a Quest Diagnostics during the pandemic grabbed. And
right.
and I know at least one of them is still alive.
So do you have a zone lead on that?
Congratulations.
Or is that something
Well,
you're willing to take on?
It was Dan.
It technically was me, but I'm happy to hand that off.
You can share it.
Yes, we can share.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that if someone wants that really bad, like, I don't want to jump in the way of that, but I'm absolutely willing to do that if there's interest in having someone do it.
I'm from a point of, I do a fair amount of tour stuff here on the open nights, and that's one of the areas I know nothing about. And it would be nice to be able to point to somebody and say, here's something, this person can do a precis of what we're doing and currently working on.
Sure. Yeah, I would say, I don't know if we have, well, I guess we would need to update the formal designation, but I guess for now, if you want to send people my way, feel free. And I'll be on the updated communication list soon. I'd have to double check actually, because I just got Slack back on this newer phone. So I'm not sure exactly what form of my typical username I have for FamiLab's Slack. I think it's Lubacious, but there might be some characters at the end there. So,
Cool. Thank you, man. Cool.
Thank you for volunteering. We love you.
You're welcome.
Don't move back to Pittsburgh or anything like that.
I moved back here.
Open discussion. This is kind of where this is the end of the meeting, and we always leave it open for discussion on any meeting. We've had a bit of open discussion here and there throughout the meeting, but if anyone would like to continue discussing on the official agenda and or add something else that they would like to speak about, now's your time. Officially.
I'll admit my ignorance. Does that list all the zone leaders?
So we kind of have been freeform with zone leaders because we found a couple people with a POC designation, point of contact, had power go to their heads, to be completely frank. And it's kind of been we didn't want to put all that responsibility on one person to be the end all be all. So lately in the last several years, it's been kind of, we have people that are here regularly, myself, Kyle, Mike, and it's just kind of been like an overarching person with a lot of knowledge for FamiLAB. And we have kind of the specialists folk, like Matt would be for DIY, I believe Blackheart would be for the FabLab and 3D printers, myself for the metal shop.
Yeah, like most of us can point you to the right direction or the right place in Slack or downstairs, something like that.
But if we do start getting more people in here on a regular basis, because that's kind of what it fell to, is that that person felt compelled to be here for no other reason but to be the point of contact. We are not opposed to people kind of taking on those roles. we are not opposed to pointing people towards that person.
We're looking to have people engage with our equipment and use it, not put barriers up between them. As a point of contact, you want to facilitate our users being an open lab and not put up barriers. Other than like things like the laser, you have to take a class just because the money involved in that. And
Yeah, safety is a thing. So anything that has got safety requirements or safety concerns.
Same thing for house.
Yeah,
The person contact point of contact that's there, so you would ask about why is the laser broken? But that was also much more of a big deal when we had, 30 members on a Tuesday coming through. We'll probably get back there, but for the last 3 or 4 years, like what I said, it's not been an issue. But
I guess
we'll be again soon.
Yeah, speaking a little of things you said earlier, but let's introduce people to what they can do and cool things they can make and how they can make, and maybe whoever the point of contact or someone who's really knowledgeable about how do you carry a quickie video. This is the equipment. Here's what we do. Look at these things that were done with this equipment. You can do it too.
Sure.
Ray has had that same idea where we put together a playlist on YouTube of similar equipment, and we put a QR code to that playlist so that, or we have it available on one of the computers that belongs to lab, so people can they can see oh, that's how I do that, and that's what this knob is for on this machine.
They even discuss possibly putting monitor systems out in each zone so that you can do a quick referral and not have to come back into the lab when you're doing work in the lab.
Yeah.
You have to be able to reference those videos. So if you're you don't know what you want to do, what you're interested in, here's 5 projects that take, less than an hour or 2 hours to do. They're tutorial level, and you can basically reference them as you're going through doing them.
Yeah, because I am a big fan of how-to classes that let you leave with something you made. Right. That's one of the things I want with Laser 101 when we get the tube back is either make something that a piece of art or something we put on the wall where we can have everyone there, or make something that you can take home and put on your table or whatever. But I think that it helps people to take pride in what they have made. Hey, you made this, and now you get to show it off however you want.
Like having an art project in elementary school.
Yeah, take home your macaroni paintings and show it to your mom.
Put it on the fridge. I remember making porcelain stuff, clay that gets fired.
I made a Jigglypuff.
You made a Jigglypuff?
Yep.
Nice.
So are there any volunteer-oriented cleanup events, that kind of thing, are on the schedule currently or are being thought of?
There's a few things that need to get taken care of, like the MDF that's sitting at the bay door. A large part of it is encouraging people to clean up after themselves, and if they do have a large-ish project, keep it contained so that it's not interfering with other members activating. I try to clean up after myself. I'm not always good at it, and I try to keep all my stuff contained and off of more public use tables.
Well, we had the cleanup event and the rack building event.
Right.
Which was ongoing. Are there any of those planning in the planning stages currently to move forward to bring the membership in to do a community event?
Not currently.
Okay.
Although Dana was working on the July 4th event.
July 4th event. That was
But that's not a clean and build. That's a way to socialize.
Well, it's social.
Yeah.
Yep, and I'm gonna be throwing in at least one social event on the calendar in April. And Laser 101 is gonna come back as a regularly scheduled class.
As soon as we get the Laser 2 back.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, and we're, for the membership process, we're thinking about more formalizing it, having a oh hey, you're a new member. Let's do come in this Saturday after the meeting for a member orientation.
Which will include stuff like Laser 101. Will be built into that class.
Yeah.
What do they do then when they recharge the laser?
What's
So what?
What do they do when they recharge the laser?
They essentially hooked up to a vacuum pump, suck out all the old CO2 because what?
Is it ionize the old CO2 and convert it?
Yeah, and so basically you lose CO2 in the tube and it just becomes less reactive.
That makes sense.
Or it combines with other gases in the air, stuff like that. It was permeated a little bit. It's glass. It's not. So yeah, they vacuum it out and they use new, very pure CO2 to repressurize the system. And they clean any of the internal optics.
Yeah.
They check all the electronics.
Does that stop sharing?
It is.
Yeah.
Uh,
Just curious.
You would
Yeah,
stop
where's the
sharing.
CO2 go?
There's my meeting.
No.
That's
all
it.
CO2?
Yeah, where's
The
this?
air. The plants take care of it.
Oh, it's zoomed in so they can't see people. I realized I should have turned it to the camera so people could see who's talking.
An RF.
So I brought up with previous meetings about having a paint space in the lab, and Mike and I had sort of started looking at the paint space.
Oh, sure.
Which space in the area would be designated for that, so we wouldn't be spreading that mess to other areas.
The only thing to be considerate of in that is fire code tends to frown
That's why I
on
bring it up.
covered things.
Right.
Not opposed to it. Let's figure out where it makes sense to go and how to do it in a way that stays compliant with fire code. Now,
Temporary structure, just take-
yeah, if it's a temporary structure or a temporary roof, that complies with fire code.
So there's two things: is individual work and being able to do classes. So classes obviously is a larger, and the individual work is a more static.
It also depends on what kind of painting you're doing.
I'm thinking the internal stuff is just airbrush.
Okay. Yeah, if, like if you're doing classes on like HVLP, like it's probably limited to like 1 or 2 people at the very most, just because the size paint booth that we could possibly get to have a part in and have people dressed up and spraying at the same time would be tricky. But yeah, like at my old office, we had probably an 8x10-ish room that basically you could fold it in, it would actually collapse back against the wall when we weren't using it.
Right, it's pull out from the wall.
Yeah, and we built that. So basically, it's all from Home Depot. Is the sides got hinged so that they were broken right in the middle, so it hinge in like this. And same thing with the tops. And then when you pulled it all the way out, there was slide latches that would just hold it steady, and had visqueen that would cover the whole thing. That was all taped together, and we had a zipper seal.
Right.
Very cool. It worked really pretty well.
Yeah.
The ventilation wasn't great on it because
You need positive pressure.
You weren't
We
doing
had
it on a
positive
daily
pressure.
basis though.
You got a hose. You gotta have
we used one of the Harbor Freight big vacuum motors
Oh, it's
as a pressure fan.
Right.
And pressurized through an air diffuser, like one of these here. So we
Right.
had that poked
So
to the
you're
side with the
capturing.
filter and everything.
Yeah.
So we were pushing air into the
Right.
space.
You get
And then for the exit, we just had a passive exit where we had a couple of layers of standard Home Depot 20x20 filters to capture particulate on the way out.
So this has been done before here.
But not here.
Oh,
That was in my
at
old
your
office,
Sorry,
yeah.
apologies.
There's that
But
correct.
you have a vision for this.
I have a vision that could be used and expounded upon.
Okay.
But I'm not married to that vision by any means. If somebody has something better for it. But yeah, learning how to do that's way overkill for airbrushing, but slightly under for doing like full catalyst based HVLP automotive, which you can still do, but it's stinky.
Right. Well, it's
if you're
airbrush
doing
to rattle
yeah,
can.
for like airbrush rattle can, vents look at it perfect.
Yeah.
But
If you're doing HLP, it's way.
in the interest of not extending the official meeting agenda,
Sorry.
yes, those things are possible. Like we, the board, only have a couple considerations that need to be.
And that's why I bring it up. That's why I bring it up.
We're not-
We talked about it informally, but.
Yep,
you know,
it's
I knew there was some issue.
And- like a collapsible one, when it's not in use, would not interfere with other members using the space,
Right.
which is perfect. So yeah, things like that.
Okay.
We're not here to be in the way of it if that's what membership wants. We do operate on duocracy. You are free to do it.
As
If-
long as you can.
Yeah, keep it easily undone if
Right.
if it causes a
The space that used to be the
scanning
my
microscope.
seems like the only space that's available currently that's not in an active use.
Yeah, and that space is open. We can figure out and rearrange if need be.
For multi-use.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lily already set up a powder coating system there, which is pretty cool. people use it actually.
I think
So I
the-
brought it up before, I've aggregated, Nerf guns to do, a bait class.
Right.
You know, doing steampunker or, Futuro, retro Futuro. And there's 2 or 3 bins of, Nerf handguns that are available currently for that. If someone wants to help me with that, get it off the ground, I'd much appreciate it, throw that out to the local membership and see if anybody's interested in, putting the hours in to get that done.
Something else that we have to bring up or chose not to, the emails addresses.
Because we haven't written any document for it.
Right.
I think it's so we are able to provide people with emails. There's just never been any agreement for it, like, the members, an agreement between FamiLAB, the organization, and the member. It's just something that in the future we will have to do, because FamiLAB has gotten to a point in its life and size where it's kind of grown beyond its scrappy roots as a collection of people, and there are a few barriers that there's a few like caveats that need to be put into some things. Like, we don't want someone to have an email that is at familab.org, and then if there's ever a falling out, they go fuck off and use their official looking email address at the detriment of the organization. But we have not written any user agreement for that. And we haven't really, like, the only people recently that have gotten an @FamiLab are board, because we have an m.familab.org if members want a @familab.org email.
That is open to all members.
Yep. It's not something we have advertised lately, but it is possible because we have G Suite.
Is this appropriate venue to bring up, the modifications we've been talking about for the membership?
Yeah, the which part?
The
process?
onboarding.
Yeah, we will always talk about like membership orientation, tweaking the membership process a bit, making it easier. We're not looking to do away with the membership process. We're just looking for ways to streamline getting people memberships.
Increasing your conversion rate.
Yes, increasing our conversion rate, return of in
ROI.
ROI, Roy.
Return on investment.
Yeah, return of Roy. And business.
But not Roy Strikes Back.
In
Yeah,
case,
not Roy Strikes Back.
I have the numbers that we were talking about earlier for Slack. So the most used channel in the last year was Space, other than Famiduino. Famiduino doesn't count because it posts every time, with 3,142 messages. Next was gaming, then general, computer hardware, cars, training and racing, security, 3D printing, metalworking, electronics, and laser. And then for members, I have to poke the buttons again to figure it out. I did it wrong when I sent it.
So space is popular this
Space
year.
is popular this
Lots
year.
been going up to space.
There's been a lot of things.
Like a couple times a week.
Yeah, there was one like yesterday.
No, there were two
We're gonna check
yesterday.
to see if watches are going up instead of going to, the newspaper.
Waiting on you, Mike.
The newspaper. I'm poking buttons. It takes a minute. I'm on mobile. March 25th to 2023-03
Analytics are fun.
23.
If anyone ever gets a chance, look at analytics for e-commerce. They have so many reports. It's fascinating.
Let's see.
I'm a nerd. I just click.
Messages posted. The last year. Number one, still Nick.
In the last year?
In the last year. Apparently they must have posted, this is March 25th, 2022.
I think that also includes DMs.
Yes. Yeah.
It's all messages and any DMs, threads, and back.
Yeah.
Good
So,
shit.
so he's
Wherever you
probably
are.
DMing a lot.
He's working. I was there.
It's always working.
I think I was there Friday or Wednesday night.
Past Nick and Katie, because they don't count. We'll go down through here.
He's
Kyle.
really the most efficient machine. in that-
Kyle
in
is
that
popular.
shop.
Kyle is very popular. Jamie. Me.
You.
Me.
Oh wow.
Siraj.
Nice.
Jeffrey Hepburn.
Ugh. Worst.
Lilith Specht.
Oh, that's me.
Brad Silcox, Brian Zolman, Dustin, Amster, and David Smith, and it goes down from there. Yeah, so it's interesting. Still the first two are on top, which is,
Well,
I wish I could clear it, but I can't. I can just set it for
does anyone have anything else for the official annual meeting agenda before we the opposite of convene, adjourn the meeting, so that we can stop the recording. We're not going to prevent you guys from talking, but we just want to adjourn the official agenda so we can stop the recording and get that posted, for all to enjoy and see and love.
Thank you, everyone online.
Thank you, everyone who tuned in online.
We'll keep the room open if you want to hear what we're talking about and join in.
Yep. What did I do? What?
Goodbye.
Oh,
So
Are we taking a picture for this year? Or should we?
we can,
Can't do it with my shirt
I
on.
mean, if people really don't want to, we're not.
and we'll leave
We
these.
can always deep fake it.
We'll leave these chairs open to Photoshop in
Photoshop
people
in.
online.
There you go.
Thank you all for joining us for this annual meeting. We appreciate all of you and want to see you do cool shit.
Or even just see you.
Yeah, even just see you do cool shit, see you, learn about what you've been doing.
Because we're lonely and we like people.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you, and meeting adjourned. But we're not closing any of that.
For the record, I am in favor of photoshopping Tony the Tiger into one of the chairs.